can. I can get you.
No, don't worry about it. It's okay. Okay. You sure?
Yeah. So let me get still.
Yeah, please don't do anything on my account.
Wait, I've got one here.
Dan's the man. Thank you.
Okay, you got it.
Thanks so much.
So. I think she's stupid. I was gonna ask if you talked it out. Okay, good.
Wow.
How's it
Absolutely. So thank you first off.
Good.
I have not used blue pen.
Was that, and then I went away and. Yeah. It's high school. Yeah, it's good.
So with military.
I thought that.
Military in
She talks to you.
2000.
Yeah, I think.
Everything was black bag,
Yeah.
like black, everything, every document wasn't authorized. I just kept that for my entire adult life, 17 long years active duty.
It's
Yes.
funny because like when I remember signing certain documents that requires blue pen because they want to see the contrast, I think. Like
Really?
The original, when I was signing documents throughout my.
All right, welcome everybody.
That came out. Oh, wow.
I think there's more people coming. There's a lot happening on campus right now at this time, so I know some more people are coming, but I want to get started and get through things. So again, thank you for joining the Hudson 7 Drinking Water Council's hybrid monthly meeting. Today is February 11th, right? My name is Gary Bassett. I'm the chair and also the mayor for Village of Rhinebeck. So the Hudson 7 meetings will be live streamed on Hudson 7's YouTube channel. Anybody who's attending in the public is advised to go there. Our in-person meetings occur here at the wonderful Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Plant with a beautiful view of the ice on the river this evening. Located at 70 Waterworks Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. Public comment is allowed both in person and remotely, but please visit our website to understand the rules to do that. I'm going to do a roll call. We'll go around the room. Again, my name's Gary, chair of the Hudson 7. To my left,
Devin Rigolino, Vice Chair of the Hudson 7, representative for Dutchess County.
Dan Shapley with Riverkeeper, technical advisor.
Hello, Nick Butler, Town of Esopus Water Superintendent.
Donna Snobley, the Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Facility Administrator and Technical Advisor.
and up in the upper left corner of the screen is Captain Lipton.
Good afternoon. John Lipscomb, retired from Riverkeeper, serving as an advisor to the Hudson 7.
Rebecca, you're next.
Rebecca Martin, Source Water Protection Coordinator, Consultant.
Paul,
Paul Malmrose, Engineering Technical Advisor.
Andy,
Andy Bicking, Ulster County Department of the Environment, currently a non-voting member.
soon to be. Right.
Soon to be, that's right.
Mike,
Mike Forging, New York State Department of Health.
welcome, Mike. And Richard, can you hear us?
Richard Distel, City of Poughkeepsie.
Thank
Yes.
you. You all. All right, we're going to get started. We're still one shy, right? Rebecca?
Yeah,
One,
yes,
two.
but the supervisor of Lloyd is coming, attending in person.
All right,
You said,
all right. So
Yeah, he doesn't need
we
that.
can't vote anything, but we do have the minutes published for January 14th, 2026. Are there any comments associated with the minutes? Having no comments, we'll move on. Treasurer's report. I did not receive a statement from our bank yet. It usually comes this week. So wait and see, but I will show that statement. As part of this, I want to just remind everybody to pay their dues. So far, ones I remember, Town of Poughkeepsie is paid, City of Poughkeepsie is paid, Hyde Park is paid, Lloyd is paid, Dutchess County is paid. So please, if you're not, please get your dues in quickly. They were due at the end of January. Just as a reminder, those who don't pay their dues will have non-voting status until they pay their dues. So please get your dues in as quick as possible.
I think we have a quorum now. Shannon's here.
I think it's Shannon from Riverkeeper. So
Yes, hello.
Hi, Shannon. Do you want to just introduce yourself quickly?
Hi, I'm Shannon Roback. I'm the science director at Riverkeeper.
Hi, Shannon. All right. So we're now going to move into the Source Water Protection Coordinator report. Rebecca.
yeah, so I submitted my January coordinator report. Are there any questions?
Hope everybody reads these things. Please do.
There's a new format here, so
Yeah.
hopefully it's more succinct to be useful to you.
Very informative for everybody, so please take the time. Do that. Oh, Roscoe, welcome. Just introduce yourself quickly.
Roscoe Pecora, SOPA supervisor.
Yes. Okay, Rebecca, let's keep going into communication.
Okay. So I'm sharing a water finance and management post on cyber physical security fact sheets, offering tips for utilities that might be useful. We have a welcome to Town of Hyde Park primary member Gregory Kamar, but I think that this appears to be retracted. The Town of Hyde Park is continuing to work on its council membership. The New York State DEC has hosted 2 virtual presentations on their upcoming rule on leachate. The second one occurred today. So this was in our agenda prior to today, but there's a link. You can go to the DEC's website to see their presentation, the slides and a link to video, if you're interested. New York River Watch submitted 2 blog posts for the council's review. One is about the 2026-2027 New York State budget as it pertains to leachate and the new rule, and the other is commentary or a response to the DEC's PFAS report and their 10-year review. The Mid-Hudson Valley News reported on Hudson River coal tar contamination that's currently under review. Riverkeeper has sent a notice around regarding a new interactive map. Thank you, Shannon and Dan and the team, that visualizes climate change from New York City to the Adirondacks. That's there's a link there for you to see. The town of Rhinebeck, their clerk, submitted a resolution, Hudson 7 coordinator, hourly rate of pay, and clerical admin grade and pay schedule that's in your source materials. And the Hudson River Watershed Alliance sent an update on watershed group programs and updates for 2026. As it pertains to meetings and events, Beyond Plastics hosted an advocacy day on their PREA bill, the Packaging Reduction Infrastructure Act. It occurred on February the 9th. There were hundreds of people there.
I'd just like to make a comment quickly on that. I know the Village of Rhinebeck Climate Smart Committee went to that and participated in the lobby for the people over plastics and came back very encouraged in terms of the results that they were getting, in terms of how the state's going to move forward with doing that. So I'm anxious to see something come out of their day of lobby.
That's good.
Riverkeeper is hosting a Hudson River Advocacy Day on Tuesday, February 24th. And there's a link if you want to participate. And Riverkeeper Sweep for 2026 is occurring on May 2nd. And there's a link to the volunteer interest form. There's no public comment tonight in person, but one was submitted by Diane Dintruff. And she says, Chat GPT using voice input output is now increasingly being used to capture rough transcripts or provide a summary of meetings. Just so no one would have to take notes, Chat GPT could also provide a sanity check on options. Just as input, Chat GPT, what do you think? Have we missed anything? Not as a decision. Please let me know if my suggestions are redundant to already existing processes. My intent is to help as a former IBM human factors engineer. And just to be clear, when we go on Zoom, there isn't any Chat GPT transcriptions. We get rid of those. So that's that. Thanks.
Well, not
Just make one note, the advocacy day that Rebecca mentioned, Riverkeeper organizes with Scenic Hudson. So I just wanted to acknowledge Scenic Hudson. And we do advocate for primarily funding for the estuary program and other grant programs. So if anyone is free to be an advocate, a lobbyist for the day, that you could join us on that day. Thanks.
You taking a bus?
No, we could carpool again.
Yeah. Might be worthwhile. Yeah. Is everybody comfortable with not using Chat GPT or Read AI or whatever? It is, as they mentioned, being used a lot in a lot of meetings now, and it does provide a transcript. Just to asking the group at large here, any opinion one way or the other, because we have been not using that, as Rebecca said. Thoughts, comments,
But it is available if you want to use it on Zoom, right?
apart?
It is available.
It is available if we want to use it. We just have not.
I mean, my personal view is these are tools that are going to be with us for our lifetimes from here on out. So start to get used to how to use them. I will say Riverkeeper is developing an AI policy. We don't have it yet. I'm sure, so I'm not fully aware of safety concerns and
Right.
data integrity, things like that. But my own personal feeling is like, figure out how to use them because
It's gonna be,
if they can help you with your work, let them help you.
but that's a good point. And maybe we should adopt some sort of policy on how to use that. So,
What's the accuracy on it? I'm not familiar with it. I know Diane, she's trying to get us to do something on an internship in our town. And she seems to be very heavily into this because of her background. But what is the accuracy of taking all the minutes using this kind of format? Because it seems to be, as people are saying here, being utilized a lot more. And I think we can't ignore it, but I do worry about the accuracy.
and that's what, from a Village of Rhinebeck point of view, we don't use it for our village meetings, but committee meetings, we're using it, and we're using it then to create meetings from. So that there's a person responsible for taking minutes, but they use that as an input to.
Yeah, use it as a tool to help.
As a tool.
So
Gary, can I say something about us?
Yeah.
So we're only reporting on motions in terms of accuracy. We're not transcribing our meetings. And we do have a video, so if people want to, they can. But we're only documenting our motions and, for the record. That was, yeah.
That's all you're required in open meeting, was to document what your motions were.
I think if we didn't have the archive of videos, maybe we would want a more robust note taking. But if we need to look something up, the videos are there.
They're very useful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
Any other comments on that? We're gonna keep doing what we're doing. Okay.
We can revisit it too if times change
Yeah, things are changing fast.
very fast.
So, now I'd like to introduce, the birthday boy of the evening, Dan Shapley. Happy birthday, Dan.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. To talk about the communities that we serve.
Is there, Rebecca, are you able to share?
Yes, I have it here. I just want to make sure I have the right one. But if it's what I had before and you've updated that, I have it.
It's the one I shared with you as a Google Doc and a PDF. I haven't changed it since then. So I've just tried to update numbers for population served by our various water systems that draw from the Hudson to give, just to make sure we have an accurate count. And also because questions have come up around sort of what the footprint is, like how big is it, how big a deal is this, what percent of population served. So the chart's a little, it's my best attempt because there's overlapping jurisdictions. So if you start on the left, it's the water treatment facility, which communities or water districts sort of draw from it, the total population served, and then how it breaks down by community for those systems like Poughkeepsie at the top that go multiple to multiple municipalities. And you can see right away, if you're looking like the town of Poughkeepsie, comparing the population served in the annual water quality report from each water plant, comparing that to the census data, there, it's not a, it looks like, probably some estimates, right? There are some estimates, or the data's older in one case or another. So clearly you're not serving 101% of population, because that's not a real number. But it seems also pretty close. We could, so one of the reasons I wanted to share this here is, if anyone in the room has better data, knows of better ways to get at this data, I can revise it. But basically, this is just comparing the annual water quality reports and the 2020 census data that's available on each county website. So the couple of discrepancies or questions I just wanted to call out are that town of Poughkeepsie number, which, exceeds 100%. So again, assuming that it's just an estimate from, which, but the whole town is served as far as we know, right? There's.
Well, if that 45,000 came from the annual water quality.
It does.
That's what we're reporting, and I think that number probably came from an estimate somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's not accurate.
And it's the whole, as far as we know, the entire geography of the town of Poughkeepsie is within the water district, or are there outlying areas that might have wells?
I think all of the time
it's called the townwide water district.
I'm pretty sure it's
for
all
what it's worth. So that was one question mark. But you can see, as things add up, if you go further to the right, in all of Dutchess County, 33% of the population is from these Hudson River sources. That's the Poughkeepsie, Hyde Park, and Rhinebeck plants. So that's a big number. A new one that I don't think we've talked about before, just sort of comparing to the total population. If you scroll down a little, Rebecca, you see the Hyde Park plant is go up a little bit. Yeah, the Hyde Park plant also serves a big area, including, several districts within Hyde Park and the Statsburg Water District, which extends into the town of Rhinebeck. So if you're reading across, that's why the town of Rhinebeck line is inclusive there. I haven't been able to find any data to show, if that's half in Hyde Park, half in Rhinebeck, but I think it's mostly Hyde Park, just because Statsburg, the hamlet's mostly Statsburg.
The water treatment plant for the village water supply that serves the town that is in that area.
No, it wouldn't be the village supply, but it's the Hyde Park supply, Snakes North.
Yeah.
And it's the southern part of Rhinebeck, with a small number of homes, so. So I just noted, don't know the breakdown specifically there. But then looking at Rhinebeck, you've got the estimate of 6,000 served, of which 2,700 roughly is within the village, which leaves, roughly 3,300 that are the town only served. And I didn't put it in here, but the NRI, Natural Resources Inventory, does list out all those areas. It's Rhinecliff, it's the district, it's the area between Rhinecliff and the village, and it's area down River Road, I think. So there's a number of people served there. So if you look at, it's 100% of the village served, and then 79% is, just to be clear, is inclusive of the village population, because those are town residents, as well as the unincorporated portion of the town, but a big portion there. And then the Ulster plants here, just noting Lloyd is very much an estimate. The 5,000 count came from old information that I had on file from 2019, but the annual water quality report doesn't include an estimate. So that would be one, if anyone from Lloyd is on, that would be good to see if there is a more refined number. But that's what we've got for now. And the other new number here is total, percentage of Ulster County served, about 5%. So smaller proportion of Ulster than Dutchess, as we would have expected, but put some numbers on those. I think those are all the sort of new bits of, new tidbits of information that came from it. Oh, and 108,000 total. So I think 106,000 had been what we had been stating in the past when we get more accurate than just saying about 100,000. So a couple thousand more showed up in the totals as I was going through.
I think your Highland number is higher though, because there's been a lot of development than.
You think? Yeah. So that'd be interesting to try and
Yeah.
figure out if it's a bigger number.
Well, they have a new supervisor there too, and
Yeah.
maybe they can ask around.
Yeah, and I didn't try to pick up the
See what they
phone
come
and
up with,
call
yeah.
anyone on this, so
Yeah.
this is a first look.
Yeah, gives you an idea.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And this is something I've been curious about for a while, actually. So when the council first formed, there was a decision of which municipalities should be a part of the 7.
Mhm.
So, for example, the town of Rhinebeck doesn't own and operate their own treatment plant, but their residents benefit from the villages.
Yeah.
So so East Fishkill,
Mhm.
what's going on there? Why, so that 15% of their population is served by the Hudson River.
Yeah.
Has there been any thought to inviting them into monitoring what we do here? Or, we sell a lot of, or you sell a lot of water to other municipalities, right?
And of course, you've got the IB or the
Well,
former
some-
IBM,
yeah.
the whole, the
Central
big,
Dutchess
big
transmission
industry.
line and-
I didn't know you sold it to the show.
Our water goes out through the county, so technically we sell to the county.
Right.
Yeah.
Does Castle Point ever open up their intake?
Not that I'm
When we
aware
were
of.
down there?
So I recall that we did outreach to the town of East Fishkill early on, and they
We
were,
did. We did.
yeah, and I think there wasn't the leadership at the time wasn't interested. And that might be, I don't want to characterize it like that's a value judgment, but as I recall, it wasn't, they didn't want to become a part of the council at that time. I think it would be good to re-engage personally. I think the value is in that inclusive view.
At
You know,
least
we
I'd
all
like to
stay-
see them represented in your numbers. Just like we represent the
Mhm.
town, the village represents the combined thing. You represent a larger population as well, bigger than, so that 15,000 should be added to your number. Is that, they're customers that are on the supply?
Well, I think it is in your
Oh, it
report.
is.
Yeah, that's where that number comes from.
Oh, okay, so it is 15,000.
I think so, yes, because that's where because all of that includes all of our.
Okay,
Or maybe that's from that might be from the annual water quality report that the Central Dutchess, that Dutchess County puts out for the transmission line, but in any case, it's reported out.
Yeah.
With
Venture get any?
Not even.
No, not anymore. Okay. Just
With-
interesting, sorry, because if you think about it, East Fishkill's got maybe 4,400 people benefiting, which is larger than some of our members,
Mhm.
but
right?
if they're in her number,
I'm not sure how,
What?
if the east, so it's only a certain part, it's not the entire.
Right, right,
It's a small-
right.
So, yeah, so I'm not sure that we, by Jonathan, we probably have.
Yeah. Just an
Yeah.
interesting observation. I mean, even if they didn't want to be a voting, they could just be like a non-voting member or even just have a seat at the
I
table.
mean, it's been 8 years probably since anyone had a conversation I'm aware of, so I don't even know it's changed.
Pleasant Valley, don't you sell water in Pleasant Valley?
No, I wish we had water.
They don't have public water.
I think that's
I've
come
been
up
having
repeatedly.
water problems in my well. Really? Yeah, it's horrible.
They were talking about extending it down 44, but now Hyde Park's looking at trying to see if they can kind of leapfrog through connecting smaller
Okay.
districts in, but right now the town of Pleasant Valley is not served.
Okay,
So real quick, with respect to the Port Huron Water District,
Mhm.
so total population served, I'm sure you got that from my annual water
Yeah.
quality report. I've been curious about that number for quite some time and probably close to the 5 years I've been there. Just because I think Don Kiernan reported on that same number more than likely for quite some time in the past.
Mhm.
So there's that, but then there's the real-time live number that I'm always tracking, which is the total service connections.
Yeah.
So that is a guaranteed, number. So like 1508, right? So that's hard, fast. That's exactly how many services we have.
Yeah,
So,
I have
yeah.
no idea how these estimates, I mean, you all would know.
I don't know how
better
to
than me.
do, I mean, I don't know how often they're completed or is this a census essentially?
yeah,
Gary, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have a quorum. Ann just arrived.
Thank you.
thank
Ann, welcome.
Yeah, sorry for the delay. I was out with my girlfriends and lost track of time. I'm in Wisconsin and an hour ahead of you too, so that messed everything up.
good for you. Thank you for joining.
Absolutely.
All right, so I guess Well, I have a question. I would like to see one more column, and that's daily water consumption or something like that. Because if we compare population to consumption, it's kind of we represent another variable that I think is important of how much total we're using that.
So I can add service connections easily from the report, and I think all the reports
Yeah.
also have figures on volume.
That they do,
Right.
right? So I don't know if that's valuable to have a separate column specifically for service connections, if anyone is interested in that, because that's a hard, fast number. But I think what Gary's talking about, that's also in everybody's AWQR, just their daily average, what they send out.
If this is what you're getting at, I think it's interesting. We talk about residents, right? But we know that there's so many people that come in and out of our counties throughout the day. They shop here, they work here. We're serving more than just our residents. So I don't know if connections is how you get at that, but that would be an interesting story to tell.
Connections, there may be 5 people on the connection,
Right.
so it's hard
It's
to,
hard.
I mean, that's something we have to manage and maintain and service. But it doesn't give us an indication of the population.
Yeah.
I feel like population is the variable everyone understands.
Right.
Like you don't have to explain it to people, even though it's not a perfect number.
And it should
But I
obviously
think
correlate.
these others might be good for comparative reasons among us.
Yeah, but I think that what you were just saying, Dan, is that the population should correlate with average daily, what they're sending out, filtrate per day. It should at least correlate with those kind
Well,
of.
except you've got if you've got a chip fat plant, you might
Right.
be using a little more water than your average.
Sure, right, yeah.
But that would show up then in your consumption, so that's higher, population wise,
Right.
they're consuming more because.
Right.
They have industry there.
I mean, I would also love, and this would be data you need to collect, but what are those major users other than residential, the hospitals, the colleges,
That's what I was
the
thinking.
industries?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's another set of stakeholders, one, and some with some deeper pockets or interests that might be beneficial at times for what we're doing here. So,
Can I make a suggestion? The Water Treatment Plant Committee meets at the end of this month. I know, Gary, you can't make it, but I think it's important that we meet. I know Paul also can't make it, but Dottie and Nick can be there. I'm sorry, I forgot who the other member is, but Dan, if you're free, it would be good for you to come, and maybe that's an agenda item. Just to
Great.
start talking about with through the committee, and it could be a project that we take on.
Yeah.
Devin, thanks for raising it.
So maybe we can circulate the PDF version of this if we haven't already, so everyone can spot any other. And then what about East Fishkill? Do we want
Do
to?
we think we should make a motion to allow Gary to draft a letter of outreach to the supervisor and see if we can get a meeting going, just to give him a spiel about what we do here? You can call him up. Can we just do that? Or do you want a motion?
Why don't you let me call them first.
All right, give him a call.
See what they want, and if they're interested, then we can come back.
Sounds good.
Are you okay with that?
I think that's good.
Which is this now, East Fishkill or who you call?
East Fishkill.
Yeah,
East Fishkill.
Yeah, we'll find out.
I'm very interested in your point, because I was thinking about that. Different communities, the usage, whichever, with the volume of water as between the hospitals and Gibson.
Right.
Okay, Marist College. We gotta use quite a bit of water, right? Yeah. So I think there are factors that really should be pointed out in a report going forth. All the dependency that different communities have, especially on critical vital services. And I don't think we're doing, from what I'm seeing, an accurate job in that picture right now. We got to get more information.
I mean, we just went through an exercise here at the water plant with salt. Well, they had to notify all the critical users.
Oh, man.
Right.
So you have a kind of short list of.
We have a list.
You know what I'm thinking,
of
Gary,
events
is
here,
like
critical.
state of emergency. Who the hell knows what's next, right? At least we have a set, a concrete of some sort. Even if it's movable, for immediate help from the state or federal.
It should all be in our emergency response plan as well. Those big Big ticket consumers
Big ticket items are listed.
are itemized, yeah.
They're already in there or
Yeah.
they should?
They are in there. They're in,
They are.
I know,
What we're talking about, a lot of that.
Right, so for us, like Dino Nobel used to be,
Yeah,
right, hundreds of thousands of gallons a day, no longer.
right,
But for us, yeah, there are, like Robert Graves Elementary School.
right.
So yeah, and everybody's, yeah, ERP should be in there.
Daddy, do you know, what about LaGrange? They don't pull at all? Okay.
Yeah, I try to keep just my eyes open to news reports and things like that. If I hear of another district being, I know, Pleasant Valley's always comes up every
Yeah.
few years. They're gonna hook up and they don't, but
Right.
Right, well,
yeah.
I'm gonna
Yep. So
keep moving here. Any other discussion? But good points. I think the water treatment plant committee can expound on this and can add some more data. Make it better.
Thanks for being there.
Thank you, Dan.
yeah, sure.
All right, so now we're on to actions and business. So I mentioned this before, pay your dues, get your dues in, but the other part is the MOA. We drafted a new MOA. Every municipality should be putting that in front of the boards and signing an MOA and get that back to us as well as part of the process for our membership alignment. I know Rossville, you should have it, right? The MOA.
Yeah, Laura Petit has it.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So if you could get those into us as well, everybody that has the MOA, please circulate, please get that on front of your board and get it back to us. All right, we're gonna go on to the Source Water Protection Coordinator Consultant, which is an active item that we put on the agenda for people last month.
Hey, Gary, John Lipscomb here.
Yeah, John.
If I may, before you get into the nuts and bolts of the RFP, I've given a lot of thought to this whole issue, and I wonder if I could make a comment on the record.
Sure.
All right. So, context for my comment. I'm here as an advisor, and I'm going to say things that you all know, but there are people online perhaps, and there are new members of the council. So I'm overdoing it a little bit, perhaps. I'm here as an advisor to help the Hudson 7 get work done. We work to try to protect the river, to protect the Hudson 7. Protecting both, one protects the other. It's the perfect retirement job for me. We're working with CSX Railroad now. Again, we're working with the U.S. Coast Guard. I just got an email about an upcoming meeting. We're working on the tug and barge situation that is currently dormant, the anchorage issue. We're working on the Central Hudson site down at the Mid-Hudson Bridge in Poughkeepsie waterfront. I work with Rebecca Martin to try to achieve outcomes. And so my comments here are in the context of trying to continue to produce outcomes. So where are we now? Rebecca Martin has been doing this great work for the Hudson 7 for 9 years. Then just recently, there was a complaint about compensation. Now, in response to the complaint about compensation, the council is floating an RFP discussion today to deal with that compensation problem. So a couple of thoughts. The argument that was made is that the $2,500 paid by Rhinebeck is too much. And the argument has been put in an effort, excuse me, I'm getting over the flu. In an effort to make the argument, her consultant fee has been annualized into a very big number, which is misleading to the public and to us, frankly. Just to put it in perspective, I looked up online and it says, Dan says Rhinebeck at large is 6,000 people. I got 7,500 people. So it varies between 41 cents and 33 cents per person in Rhinebeck served to be protected by the efforts of all these communities as part of the Hudson 7. Another way of looking at it is there, again, online, it says there are 3,000 households. So it's $1.20 per household to take advantage of the power and the skills and the authority of the Hudson Seven. So no one will ever convince me that it's about the money. It's about something else. And I frankly don't care what it's about. I care about outcomes. But I do know this much, that the RFP process that we are undertaking, not we, I'm an advisor, I'm not involved, but I am deeply concerned and I care deeply for the Hudson Seven. I know this, that the RFP plan that you are embarking on is an artificial solution to an artificial problem. That's clear as a bell to me. Here's why this is a failed strategy. Everyone I have talked to one-on-one in this group believes that Rebecca Martin will apply when the RFP is out. And she'll be by far the best candidate, which we all know. And we'll get to hire her. Problem solved, happy day, end of a sad saga. I urge you all to fact check that. I can tell you, and I'm sorry to say this in front of Rebecca, and I'm not looking for her to pipe up, because her opinion, her position, her decision is hers. But I can tell you that if I was Rebecca Martin, there's no chance I would apply for the job that I have built, the job that I have done without the slightest problem for 9 years. The job that I've defined, I would never apply. And that was before someone had the very poor wisdom to put it in the local public media. In light of the fact that the DWSB2, I still struggle with that, will increase the workload coming, I'm including myself, I feel like a part of the family, we certainly do not need to retrain someone to try to upload 9 years of knowledge and start a new initiative with the DWSP2. That's starting a new person at this point is self-destruction. So I recommend, and then I will stop, and I appreciate being able to speak up because I feel very strongly about where we are as a group. And I'm an old guy now, and I've seen a lot of organizations that in order to solve one problem, create a new problem. It's like the classic scenario. I urge the council to vote today, not discuss the merits of the RFP. I urge the council to vote today to pause the RFP process and then engage with Rebecca privately to determine whether she will stay on, and if she will stay on, what conditions are required for her to stay on. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, John. All right, but we did motion and we did move forward with this. We need to go follow our process. Okay. And we can discuss that after we get through that, but I think it's appropriate now that the time was spent by a committee to form the RFP and to actually discuss the merits of the RFP.
Thanks, Gary.
Gary,
Okay.
I would just like to say something because I totally agree with John, but the thing is, this is not a job for a consultant. A consultant, you hire a consultant for a short-term, specialized projects requiring specific expertise, immediate results, or high flexibility without a long-term commitment. You hire an employee for a long-term core business, ongoing strategy plan or when you need direct control over how, when, and where the work is performed. This is not a job for a consultant. You're actually really probably paying more for a consultant if Rebecca was actually paid what most consultants get. You know, if you were paying Ty and Bond, an admin assistant would cost you $95 an hour. I just don't see this, and not giving Rebecca medical insurance is just outrageous to me. I mean, if you try to go out there, I know all of you work for somebody, but if you go out there, we're talking like $1,400 a month for somebody like Rebecca to get health insurance. This is not how we treat an employee or a consultant that's been working for us for 9 years. It's just, we should hire as a full-time employee or a part-time employee with medical benefits.
I don't think many would disagree. It's a matter of funding, no Paul. So we would have to come up with a new budget and a new funding plan to be able to do that. And when we adopted our budget, that was not the budget that was adopted.
I will say on that point, like I've been on the board of the Hudson River Watershed Alliance, and I brought this example up in the committee meeting. There are examples like that where you have a person who is a contract, but they're filling an employee role for years. It's a small organization stepping stone. I mean, it's not unheard of. It's, yes, not ideal, but it's possible.
But this was a plan to how we grow.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're growing in, but not by leaps and bounds, a more gradual process to get to the point where we can be more functional organization with more staff, more people, pay our technical advisors, pay whatever we need to do, but we need to grow into that. And yes, it seems like 9 years is a long time, but I'll be honest with you, it went by in a blink of an eye. Right? And we've done so much because we've been focused on the work. And now we are a 501c3. We have set the process in place for that. We can now start functioning going forward. That was the whole purpose of forming a 501c3, so that we can now start moving into the next direction. And God, I hope we do. But I think the merits that this group put together for the RFP are worth considering as a platform. Whether you give it the label of a consultant or whatever you give it, it's the merits of the RFP that I think we need to understand. I'm going to go back. Thank you, Paul. I think and John, I think comments are well appreciated and well understood by everybody. I disagree with each one of you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so just to kind of set the table, so to speak, just a reminder, last meeting, a motion was made to form a subcommittee to look at pulling together an RFP. So that included myself, Dan, Andy, and the town of Rhinebeck. So I want to say, before we dive into what we've pulled together, that, you know, from my perspective and on behalf of Dutchess County, in no way does the Dutchess County, you know, being a part of or leading the RFP process is meant to reflect that we're dissatisfied with the current coordinator or the Hudson 7 or the work that's been done to date. This was the motion was made, so we led this process. We offered to use our procurement division to do this, and we're happy to, but we don't have to if this body doesn't want to. Okay, so basically we were provided by the Dutchess County Division or Department of Central Services, who handles our procurement, and like a blank template. It's very boilerplate. You give an introduction of the organization, and then you just design a scope of services. So the majority of what I think we should talk about tonight is the scope of services. So essentially what we did was we took the 2026 work program that's already been drafted and we plopped it into the scope. We did have some a lot of conversation, some fruitful, some not so much. But some ideas were passed around that I wanted to bring back to this body. One is that in the current 2026 scope of services, or I'm sorry, the current 2026 work program, there is a section that talks about having the coordinator provide some organizational support to the 501c3 side of this group. After some conversation internally, I think many of us felt that maybe that made sense to remove, because really what the member organizations are funding is the intermunicipal work, not the 501c3 work. And I think one of the conversations that came out of this too was sort of this understanding that what we really need is for 2026 to be a year of strategic planning. And so that way we can really figure out what exactly we want the 501c3 to do versus the intermunicipal council. What does this coordinator do for one versus the other? And it could be that if we do decide to do an RFP or we don't, that what we decide is for 2026, and maybe over the next several months, we figure out something else for 27. Maybe we go back to the table and we think about, can this become an employee, or can this become multiple positions, or I don't know. But that was another suggestion that came out of this committee, specifically from the town of Rhinebeck, was they looked at this scope of services and felt like it should be split into two positions. I don't think that there was a unanimous agreement with that, but it was raised. And then the other thing that, I mean, you all have it before you. Hopefully you had a chance to review it beforehand. So I'm just going to stop in a minute and let everyone just kind of ask questions. And also Andy and Dan, please jump in. But the last thing I would say is one of the pieces of conversation was, looking at all of this coordinator is expected to do. Does it make sense? Does the current title continue to make sense? Or does this scope of work reflect something different? And that was, no alternative titles were necessarily thrown out. It was sort of just a question raised. Do you guys want to jump in, either of you?
Yeah, I'll jump in briefly, Devin, and thank you. That's a great summary of the discussion. And I'll just share the observations. I think in the call, it's true there were a number of ideas that were brought up and there was not broad consensus around them. Many of the ideas that were brought up, may or may not have had their merits on their own right, but they also felt like they were a little bit outside of the charge of the subcommittee in what we were asked to do. So I think you gave a good report, and the things that were brought up that were outside the charge of the subcommittee, to me, struck me as really more long-term discussions that are part of a strategic planning effort, as a few people have summarized already.
Yeah, so just to be clear, the three items that the council, the committee wanted the council to discuss are the inclusion of the 501c3 work scope within the scope, whether that should be in there or not. And then whether either the scope was too large for one person and should be somehow split into two jobs, or the job title change to reflect the scope. So those three things.
I'm gonna weigh in on a 501c3. I don't think it should be part of this. I think we need to have a division of responsibilities moving forward, and how we structure the intermunicipal council and then structure the 501c3 as we go through the process. I don't want to commingle. My preference is that 501c3 start at some point in the very near future, forming this organization to supplement this organization. But there's a lot of critical work that needs to be done here in coordination with our technical advisors and this board. By compounding it with the 501c3 at this time, I think would interfere with that work.
Gary,
Can I say something really quick? Is just to bring your attention back to the work of Hudson 7. No, I just want to just remind you that the council decided that they were separate entities. So it makes sense. I mean, we have all kinds of paperwork to show that. It makes sense what you're saying. And so I just wanted to remind you that we have all of that documentation and decision-making already, so.
Bosco had a comment. Sorry.
yeah, I didn't realize that was a good comment on her part, and I agree with you. I think I don't think it should be like that. I really don't. And I don't know how you want to handle that workload. Figure it out. That's a big question. Right.
Yep.
But I think it's asking too much for one person. I think, and it's gonna mix up a lot of things. You're switching balls all the time. I have to, you have to, in the jobs we're in. We're juggling more than one ball at a time because we've got multiple problems going on. But in this position, there's no reason for it. That's the way I see it.
How do people feel about the other suggestion that was made that, looking at this scope, it feels either that the title doesn't match or that there's really two positions. And what was specifically raised was it feels like there's more of a technical position versus an administrative position. And what I think, I don't remember if Dan, you mentioned it or someone had said, often when you look at like a small, and again, we're keeping nonprofits separate, but often when you look at a new organization that's forming, like a not small nonprofit, usually the first staff position that's created is an executive director, and that person does everything. They set out the paper cups for the board, and then they also are meeting with donors, and they're doing everything. So it's not unheard of to me when I look at this scope that you would have admin tasks along with more complicated tasks. And we know that both can be done well because they have been done well. So any thoughts on that piece?
So I think, and I've been around here for 5 years, just about now, not very long at all. But in the time that I've been here and the work that we have done together, like the accomplishments that we've done, I honestly don't really care what the title personally, what Rebecca's title would or wouldn't be, as long as number one, just like John Liscombe said, outcomes are our best friend, right? So we're looking for outcomes, and in parallel with that, I would suggest consistency. So as long as Rebecca wants to continue and stay the course, I can't think of a better person and or a reason to fill her shoes or to potentially fill her shoes. So I guess what I'm saying is whatever the title is, as long as it would protect Rebecca or whoever the person is, specifically Rebecca, but protect her and treat her like treat the position as a full-time position. No doubt about it.
I don't get hung up on titles.
The reason the title came up, I think, is specifically because of Elizabeth Spinzia's criticism. Like, her public comments have all been focused on the administrative clerical pieces as if that's the whole role. And so I think it was also telling within our conversation that she was also saying, this is two roles. There's this administrative and this like superhuman role. Yes, that's the whole role. And that's what we keep saying, all of us keep saying in different ways, how Rebecca created that role and made it. And I do think, I just want to say I do agree that there is a big risk in the RFP process, as John was expressing it, in that you have a dedicated person who's entrepreneurial, who's creative, who's dedicated. That's hard to replicate. You can get somebody maybe to check these boxes, and we're doing our best to list all of those boxes to check, but that doesn't mean you get someone who shows up at 9 p.m. because the barge shows up or whatever it is, Saturday morning, when there's a crisis. That's intangible that you can't put into this, but we have right now as a council.
Right, it's the consistency
I
problem.
want to get back to the title. The title is Source Water Protection Coordinator. Forget about consulting. The title is Source Water Protection Coordinator. We worked hard on defining that title. I think it still fits well, right? Because it involves all of the things that we're talking about, So I don't think this is a consultant. I think this is the Source Water Protection Coordinator. John.
It's a contract role, maybe.
John.
Yeah, thank you. I urge you guys, in determining whether it's a one-person job or a two-person job, I urge you again to consult with Rebecca, who's doing the job, and figure out how to split it up or not split it up. Again, going with what Nick said, just let's not break something that's working by mistake here. Dan's point is exactly right. In my careers, various careers, I can't, more often than not, how a person represents on a resume and in their references does not turn out to be what I got in the end. We know what we've got. And so I agree with Nick. Consistency really matters. And I agree with Dan. But in terms of deciding how much work it is, whether it's a one-person job or a 1.5, talk to Rebecca.
Can I just say one thing? And I see Anne has come off of mute, just to say that a question we're not asking ourselves is, where did the coordinator role originate? And I'm, speaking from a consulting, putting my consulting hat on, I believe it originated from the DWSP2. So I think it's a good question. Where did the coordinator title actually come from? And if we don't know, we should go back and assess that, because the role is absolutely not a coordinating role. We've called it that, I think, because we're mirroring the DWSP2 language. It's a management role that requires a whole lot of different tasks that range from simple tasks to high strategy tasks to being on the ground. It's a lot, and you're seeing it in the RFP because we've drafted that work plan. So I just want to raise, the question about where the coordinator title originated from, which is a good question, regardless of what you do with your RFP, just to make sure you understand where the spirit of that, where it originated. Go ahead, Ann.
Yeah, my concern is that if all this came about because we're looking for cost saving, we're looking for a way to do this for less money, I don't see how we can hire 2 people and stay underneath what we are currently paying one person who's covering all the duties. So my concern is, how can we do this for less money? And frankly, I'm not in a position to go back to my town and ask them to increase the budget here. So if the whole point is saving money, I don't see how hiring 2 people is going to do that.
None of us can go back to our municipalities and ask for more.
Yeah.
The budgets are.
This tiles.
Yeah. No, I think that's a totally valid point.
That's a great point, Ann. So I guess I see 2 things. One is, if we need to decide if we want to do the RFP or not, because if we're all, let's just call it what it is. If we're all concerned about funding, well, this could be a giant waste of time, which is time is money, right? So if we need to decide if we want to do this or not. That's one. If we do decide we want to do it, we could strip the title off of it and say, hey, here's the work that's needed. When you bid on it, you tell us what you think the title should be, and you tell us how much it's going to cost you. My suspicion is we're going to get a couple large firms that are going to come in way higher than what we can afford, and we're going to get less personalized output. And it's going to be like a tie and bond that's going to divide this up across a team of 3 or 4 people. So instead of having one person that we deal with, we're going to be dealing with many. Honestly, I think I'd be very surprised to see anyone coming close to being able to deliver what we've had. And then if we do decide we don't want to do the RFP, then maybe we think about revisiting the title, maybe we don't. But I would like to see us have a conversation. It's been 9 years, if not, maybe, I don't know how long it's been, but maybe whatever we decide tonight, we also need to, on a tandem approach, decide, let's do some kind of strategizing this year so that way we can figure out what we want the long-term plan to be is. Because if we renew this for another 3 years, maybe a coordinator or a contractor isn't what's going to be the long-term solution. Maybe we need to figure out how we can make this an employee. And we probably can't do it in 26, but maybe it's something we can sort of strive towards.
Yeah, the whole purpose of making the 501(c)(3 was to strive for those goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're repeating what we're trying to do, which is great. It means we're doing something right.
Do you think we should do the RFP, Gary?
If I had a offer on the table, I would say no. But currently I don't have an offer on the table.
What do you mean by offer, Gary?
It's a motion.
If there was a person, not to be named, that would want to continue to do this work and would step forward and say, I'm putting my name in the hat to be able to go forward and do this, I would vote for that today. I think you know where I'm saying.
not 100%. Just speaking for myself, I'm not 100% clear. I think, again, based on the comments I provided earlier, I don't see any reason why the council cannot pause this to have further discussions.
We can, we absolutely can, John.
Yeah, so that's, I guess, what I'm suggesting. If the RFP, when Devin asks, do you want to do the RFP? Again, I'm trying to be clear for myself. Devin, does that mean, do you want to put it out into the public? Or do you want to tweak the language? But what do you mean by do the RFP?
I mean, do we want to move forward with an RFP process, or do we want to renew the do we want to have discussions with our current consultant to see if she's interested in continuing the contract that's already in place? So.
Right. I would urge you to do the latter.
There was an offer on the table. What
do we think of this? What if I make a motion to table the RFP process? And so that Gary and I can have a conversation with our current consultant to see if they're interested in continuing to serve in the role. If yes, we bring it back to the council at the next meeting for a vote.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm willing to second that motion.
Do we have discussion? What do you guys think? Andy, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I think it's a great proposal. Of course, I'm a non-voting member, but if I was in a voting role, yeah, I would support that conversation.
Ulster's opinion really is a value to me, so I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
The way I'm feeling right now, we're not ready to move ahead, so I would vote for your motion.
All right, so let's take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Okay.
Done.
Aries.
Devin and I will pursue continued conversation.
I think that's advisable, and I am very concerned again. I heard the argument about the money. We're all under that pressure. Believe me, I'm dealing with it every day. It's not fun. On the same token, I'm very concerned about the 501(c) and the work involved to move forward in that. So we have to come up with some kind of better solution, because I just see the water's getting totally muddy with this.
And Ross, very soon, you're gonna see a motion go forward to elect officers for the 501(c)(3). So we'll start that process. We spent a year. We actually got the 501(c)(3) before we knew we had it.
Yeah, it's work.
But now we have it. And so now it's time to start putting that process into place. Okay.
Right. And eventually we all know they're gonna go back to our communities and explain this in some way that
Right now, just get the MOA that we have and let's move forward. That's the best thing, right? The best thing right now is get the MOA and let's move forward.
Yeah. And just add one other thing, just on the municipal contribution, as we all know, every municipality's contribution is small compared to the total. That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
We're one voice and we're more powerful because everyone contributes. We have one powerful coordinator because everyone contributes a little, but we all benefit from the whole. And that's why it works. So
That's why.
it's I hope a fairly easy argument to make to skeptical
and I think
voters and taxpayers. Yeah.
well.
All right. So
Easy for you to say.
it's now 6:10 and you violated my rule.
Gary, just if you want to go back and approve the minutes, we have a quorum now, if you want to do that before you proceed.
Yeah, I'll let you, Gary,
Pardon?
make a motion to approve the minutes.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the January 14th minutes.
And I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
What?
Did we ever call the meeting to order?
With me got that point.
No, we did when Ann came.
Okay.
Yes, we announced it. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so how do you want to move forward here?
I think you can move forward pretty quickly if you want to start at Central Hudson.
I'm trying to keep the conversations brief and to the point. So the next thing is, the Central Hudson manufactured gas plant. We've been meeting with DEC and Central Hudson on this. There was a brief report that came out, kind of a stall report. We're trying to reconvene another meeting with them. John Liscombe is playing a valuable role into doing that. John, is there anything you want to say in 5 words or less?
5 words. I can't do anything in 5 words. I just wanted to say I have not connected yet with Frank Zulak, the NOAA specialist. We keep going back and forth. I am looking at the email from DEC from Gerald Pratt, where he says, we don't think there's anything else that can be done to capture the sheens when they occur. Other than what's being done now. I disagree because nothing's being done now. So we will continue to pursue that with them. Right now, no sheens, no water, just ice. That's in hold.
Okay, thank you. All right, John, you want to do you in 10 words or less?
Coast Guard?
In 10 words or less, the air contingency plan and vessel safety.
And John Roston is what this is about, but
Yeah, I'll mention that. I'll cheat. I won't obey Gary. That's all. The Coast Guard did announce while we were on the call here, they announced a prep meeting for one of the exercises they want to do. I haven't seen meetings scheduled on these subcommittees that they had us join on how to respond, how to prevent spills, how to respond to spills. But I will give you one good piece of news that on the 30th of January, I got a call after hours from Greg Hirsch, who was one of the Coast Guard gentlemen who came to your meeting. And he said, I just want to let you know there's been a spill down at the Roaston power plant. It's on land. It's in the pump house. The connection between the barge and the pump house failed. There's nothing getting to the water. I just want to let you know because we have this relationship. And I can't tell you how valuable that is to have the Coast Guard reaching out to us via the translator to show good faith. And all I had to say to him is, thank you, Greg. If you see it going towards the water, let me know and I'll send up the alarm. But that's a tremendous relationship that you all have with the Coast Guard.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Paul, salt front.
You're
Paul,
muted, Paul. You're muted. I'll ask you to unmute. Go for it.
So on the salt front, I got a call from DEC asking the Hudson 7 to organize a group that can do a review of their scenarios for their salt front evaluation. Just like to emphasize that they called us, the Hudson 7, to do this, not any other organization, which is pretty impressive to me. So what I'm asking the board is that if Dan and I can form a committee, Dan and I will talk about who to select, and we'd probably have 5 or 6 people on this committee, and we'll report back to you. But I need to form this committee because the spring could be March, so I'd like to get it done today.
All right, so committees need to be formed by the council, right, and voted on and approved. So I
Make a motion.
gotta make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to follow up on Paul's comment to form a committee for salt front evaluation. So do I have a second?
I'll second.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Who wants to be on that committee? Paul, who's on? I know Dottie.
Dottie has to be. Do you want to be, Nick?
Yeah, I'll jump on it.
Dottie, Nick.
I'd like to
Paul.
suggest we ask Jonathan if he can, because I think he's valuable in addition.
I have to say something. We have to get really good experts on this, and I gave a list. I'll consider anybody, but we can't have like 20 people, and I need somebody that's really knows river hydraulics and things like that to work with us.
So Paul, you're gonna put this list in and we're gonna have to vote on it to approve. Okay? That's the rule.
I think what Paul is asking is for he and Dan to have the authority to form a committee to do this work. Is that right, Paul? Just to be clear.
Yes.
That's not the way our bylaws are written. our bylaws are written or voted on and approved by.
That's fine, but that's what Paul is asking for, is all I'm clarifying.
I'm saying, bring that group in, we can vote on it and approve. If you would like, Jim, Paul, and we'll vote on that at the next meeting.
Can we establish the core group with Dottie and Nick
Yeah.
in the today
Yeah.
and then add to?
We gotta move on this.
Yeah.
Just because I hear a time constraint
Right.
that Paul's expressed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I vote to approve. Paul, Dottie, Nick, Jonathan, if we can get him,
Sure.
and Dan. Do I have a second?
And seconded.
Second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. And Paul, anybody else, bring them forward and we'll motion them in. Okay?
Okay.
Just while you're on the subject, so somebody reach out to me because in the course of the Riverkeeper time, I worked with a number of people who work specifically on river mixing and transport. And so one of them is at Stevens, one of them is in Woods Hole, one of them is at Rutgers. And so when Paul, reach out to me and I'll see if I can get you the experts you're looking for. Okay?
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna keep moving on here. Mike, we have you. How about a DWSP2 update? You still there, Mike?
Hey, yes, I am. Unfortunately, no update right now, but we are anticipating an update from the state reviewers this month.
Fingers crossed, huh?
Yeah, we are in communication with them. They are getting there, but they're not quite there yet. I'll
Okay.
provide an update as soon as I have one.
Exactly. Rebecca, Water Treatment Plant Committee.
Yeah, we're meeting at the end of this month, so we'll have more to say next month.
And Paul, Lower Silver Creek.
I have nothing to report at this time.
All right. I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn at 6:17.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye. Thank you all for coming.